Hello everyone, welcome to Coffee, Love, and Books. My name is Michelle, and today I'm going to be discussing The Words of Radiance, second book in the Stormlight Archive by Brandon Sanderson, and why I enjoyed it so much more than The Way of Kings. So, without further ado, let's jump right in. Now, this is going to be a spoiler and spoiler-free kind of discussion. This isn't necessarily a review because I don't think this book really needs to be reviewed. It's been reviewed plenty of times. It's a great book, and I would totally suggest you read the series if you haven't already. But I just wanted to kind of discuss my thoughts, my feelings, compare and contrast it to things like Mistborn and The Way of Kings. And the first part will be spoiler-free, just general thoughts and feelings. If you have not read the first and second book, just how I liked it and some reasonings as to why I liked it. But the latter part of this video will be spoilers, so if you have not read the first and second books in this series, please don't watch that part. And I'll just be going deeper into moments and parts of this book that I absolutely adored. So, without further ado, let's jump right in. So, The Words of Radiance is such a long book, and I don't think I'll be able to get anywhere near to all the things I want to discuss because this book is so massive, so many things happened, and I'm going to take a different approach when I'm talking about Oathbringer, kind of do it vlog style, each section by section, and that way I can kind of have more fresh feelings. But basically, The Words of Radiance is the second book in the Stormlight Archive, which is an amazing story about this high fantasy world. And the first book is extremely slow, building it up, and it was so necessary to make this book as wonderful as it is. I truly believe that when I reread The Way of Kings one day, I will love it so much more than I did the first time because of all the Easter eggs and the ways it builds in to the later books. But Words of Radiance, it's action right off the bat because Brandon has set up his world. He has set up these characters. Not obviously there's more to them to come, but everything is ready and prepared, and we've got action right up at the beginning. And that was wonderful. That's one of the main things I loved about this book is we have all these characters in this world that we love, and they're all kind of coming together for the first time, with the exception, book one obviously deals a little bit with that, but book two, you really begin to see a lot of payoff for all that build-up in book one. And there are slower parts. It's not easy all the time. It took me a long time to read it, like maybe a month, I would say, but it was so worth it and such an amazing book that I appreciate so much. This book is Shallan's book, and we get to learn a lot more about her backstory, and I just really appreciated the pacing in this book and the build-up and the character work, and just it was very compelling, and there's a lot more action than there was in The Way of Kings. So, if you're excited about this book, it's amazing, and it's so worth the wait. All this action, and yes, it's amazing. I'm sure I'm going to love Way of Kings more on reread, but I just enjoyed this book so much more because of how hard it was to get through Way of Kings. Alrighty, so we will now be entering the spoiler section. I will put a big ol' word thing on the screen so that people don't get spoiled for this amazing series. I know that can be really frustrating. Okay, so like I said before, this is Shallan's book, and I have a bunch of plot points I kind of wanted to talk through, but I also want to talk about the relationships between these characters, because basically all these characters that we've gotten to know through The Way of Kings are now coming together, and they don't fit, and they clash, and it's so hard to watch because you know them. You've been in their shoes, and now you see them from the other character who you love's shoes, and they're just not the same, and they hate each other. And perfect example, Kaladin, how he feels about Shallan. That scene, I know a lot of people love that scene because it's so funny. It just bothers me so much. I don't know why, but it is rather funny, where she steals his boots. And just Shallan, you begin to see a side of her you hadn't seen before, because we're so used to seeing her as the small one, the victim, and you begin to see a lot more of her childhood and how that affects her. But you also begin to see her from Kaladin's eyes, where, yes, she does use people. She is a light-eyed lady through and through. You really begin to see the differences between the light eyes and the dark eyes in this book, and I think that was so powerful, because we love people from both sides of the spectrum, and we can understand why Adolin is arrogant and why he believes what he does, and we definitely understand why Kaladin is angry at the injustice he has received just because of his eye color. And oh man, it was amazing. It was hard to see them clash like that, but I loved that dynamic in this book, and I loved the characters dynamic, and I'm gonna go a little bit more into that in a bit. So we start on the boat with Shallan and Yasna, and they are just, oh my goodness. I loved Yasna in the last book as we got to know her, and just, like, she's amazing. She's so brilliant and smart, and she has this control, and she's also really kind of bad and awful. But this is, at the beginning of Words of Radiance, I absolutely fell in love with Yasna's character. And I just was so excited to see more of her. I was excited about this expedition to the Shattered Plains, and I could see great things brewing for Shallan and Yasna and their research. And then Yasna dies, and I was just so broken. We had lost our mentor character, who I love. We lost our older, wiser, capable character, and Shallan has to do it by herself, and that killed me, and Shallan's grief killed me. But you get to see Shallan woman up and just go and do what she has to, get to the Shattered Plains. You see how very capable she is, and that was wonderful. And I know if Yasna was there, it wouldn't have packed as much of a punch, but oh my goodness, losing Yasna hurt me so bad. And yes, I know she's actually alive at the end of the book. I kind of always knew she would come back to life, because don't Google anything when you're in the middle of a serious things. Oh, it was so sad. But anyway, I kind of knew that. But not having her there, not getting to see the story play out the way I had perceived it, was so gut-wrenching. But seeing Shallan become this almost Yasna-like character was so powerful. Seeing her grow up, and no, she's not turning to the best person ever. Seeing the way she copes with her trauma and the way she just keeps going and keeps being almost irritatingly positive is just incredible. Okay, so now how the characters relate. Adolin and Shallan hit it off right away. They're in love. It's adorable. They're not actually really in love, but it's really sweet. I love their relationship and just how they tease each other, and just they fill each other out so well, and I absolutely adore it. Their courtship, and it's amazing. They have the love at first sight kind of thing, or the infatuation at first sight. And then Kaladin and Adolin, I love their relationship so much in this book. How they despise each other at first, and then how Kaladin does his job but still really despises Adolin. And then, oh, we'll talk about the duel, oh my word, but just that moment when Adolin he walks out of jail with Kaladin, and Kaladin's like, what are you doing here? And he's like, oh, I went in the prison until they would let you out. And I was just like, I love you, Adolin. I love you so much. And how they kind of, I love how he begins to really respect and love Kaladin after he saved his life so many times. And Kaladin's still kind of being very Mew-like about it. He doesn't want to be friends with the Light Eyes. He He doesn't like Adolin, but oh my goodness, their dynamic is amazing. The way they absolutely hate each other, and I can kind of see a friendship brewing for them, possibly. I don't know. I think it would be amazing if they kind of became really good friends from what we got in Words of Radiance, but I love their relationship so much, and all the layers that are there, and the trauma and the grief behind Kaladin's interaction with Light Eyes, and oh my goodness, I love it. And then we've got the action, the big ending, the big finale. Not really, this is like two-thirds of the way through the book maybe. We've got the duel, or the however many people were in that arena, and oh my word, that scene was so compelling. I remember just sitting there and being like, no. Just absolutely enthralled by Adolin. He shines. He's such a good swordsman, and he is so devoted to doing these things for his father. We got that arc in the first book where he has to learn to trust his father and to side with him no matter what. And here we see that playing out, and he's in this duel and he's doing what he loves, and then they bring out like 4 people, I think, to face one guy. And oh my golly, it was, and Sanderson builds it up like, oh man, am I going to be able to do 2 people, or am I going to be able to defeat 2 people? And 3 people walk out with the one guy he was supposed to fight, and it just was so hard to watch him struggle like that. And then, oh my goodness. So there was this point in the fight, and Dalinar's being like, okay, he's like, please, there are those with sharp blades among you. Is there no man with honor here who would fight at my son's side? No one stands up, and Kaladin's just there like, honor's dead, but I'll see what I can do. And I love Kaladin, how he is doing his duty. He runs into that arena and he's just fighting with Adolin, and again, they're dynamic, and obviously there's Renarin, who's just sitting at the side crying, which is so hard. I love Renarin, and I feel so badly for him, but at the same time, I think Sanderson's gonna pull a Spook with him. If you read Mistborn, you know what I'm talking about with Spook, who is this kind of very low-key, kind of not very talented character who ends up becoming something a lot greater as he progresses. And I feel like that might happen with Renarin. I'm not sure. But, oh my goodness, that duel scene, it was so exciting, so hard. And then we've got the thing where he challenges Sidious, and Kaladin challenges Ahriman and screws things up, but not really. Goes into prison, and Wit shows up. Wit is such a good character. I love him so much. He's so entertaining to watch, and he's so smart and powerful, and you just know he's so mysterious, and I just love every scene he's in. He just shows up, and Shallan's like, like, I know you. He knows everyone, and Wit is amazing side character. I just love him so much. Anyway, we've got the duel, and then we have Syl leaving Kaladin because of what he's doing with Moash in trying to assassinate the king. Oh my goodness. I was so frustrated through that entire thing. I was like, Kaladin, don't do this. You know you're not supposed to do this. This isn't right. You can't kill the king. And then, but you understand why he's doing it too. And there's just this moment of absolute turmoil because you know this is going to lead him down a horrible path. He's going to lose the trust of Dalinar, and he's going to just lose everything. And then Syl leaves him, and he falls into the chasm, and only he and Shallan survive. And we've got the chasm, we've got the love triangle started, which is, I didn't even think once. I was just like, no. I never saw Kaladin and Shallan as a possible match. I still don't really. I mean, maybe, but I don't know. I don't see it. Maybe, but anyway, that's not a very important part of the book. But they're in the chasm, and you see Kaladin having to survive without his powers, and Shallan having to survive knowing not too much about her powers, but last minute she reveals to Kaladin that she has a shard blade and gives it to him to fight the chasm fiend, and they work together to survive the high storm, and that was amazing. I really like their dynamic, but also it's still strange. Like, they don't fit very well because of how different they are. But there's this moment, which is a tad bit cheesy, I will admit, where they're kind of like having a heart-to-heart about their entire lives, and Shallan just spills everything the reader has learned so far about her life. She tells Kaladin all of it, and Kaladin tells her all of it, and it's this very like honest, open moment between the two of them. And I'd like to see more built upon that. The chasm is such a great exploration of both Kaladin and Shallan, and seeing them having to survive. Both pretty, like, you feel like Kaladin should be able to beat this, but he can't without Phil and his powers, and it's so, And then they come out, and Kaladin's getting a lot of credit because everyone's like, how could Shallan possibly survive? But Dalinor's like, you're it, you're the one I've been looking for, right? And Kaladin's like, maybe once, but nope. And that line, I was so frustrated because Kaladin he had it, and then he threw it away for Moash, and oh man. So Kaladin gets back, he's healing. He can't obviously go to the Shattered Plains with the rest of them because he has a broken leg and he has to heal because he doesn't have Stormlight. Anyway, so he's just being Kaladin from book 1 before the chasm, and he's just sitting there like, there's nothing I can do. If it happens, it happens, whatever. And then he's reflecting, and there's this line that totally stuck with me and amped the stakes up like so high. He was like, Elhokar was Dalinar's Tien. I have no clue if that's actually how you pronounce his name. Anyway, oh man, that hit hard. Just seeing Elhokar not as this bratty king, but as Tien, who was helpless yet had his talents in other places and brought joy, and you're just like, oh no, Kaladin, you have to save him. And Kaladin, he has no Stormlight, he's got a broken leg, and he goes and that scene was so good. And I just, it was just where he is finally understanding that he can't just save those that he wants to save or who he likes. He has to save everyone. And oh man, him saving Elhokar and Moash being like, what's up? And then Syl comes back against the will of the Stormfather, and she's back, and she's not dead. And honestly, losing Syl was so sad, and it was also really sweet how Kaladin, as much as he missed his powers, he was scared for Syl, and he missed her, and he wanted her to be alive. And her coming back was amazing, so epic. And then
Kaladin breaks the Shattered Plains. We got this thing with them. What's his name? Zath. Truthfulness of Shivanar. I can't pronounce anything. Okay. And there's a big battle with the the bad storm. We find Eurythru, and I know I'm butchering all these words. I'm sorry. We find the city, and everything's, yeah, it was amazing.
We just get this amazing, glorious moment of Kaladin finally getting this attention, the powers he deserves, just everything. And it was amazing. And then he goes off to warn his family about the Everstorm and all that's gonna happen. And oh my goodness, I know this started sounding like a summary, but I kind of need to walk myself through the plot points so I'd remember. But amazingly satisfying ending. So many mysteries unsolved, so much, and I am so psyched for continuing on with this series. It truly was an amazing ride, and I'm so excited! Okay, so that is basically all the raving I have for now about this book. I know 10 things are going to pop to my mind the minute I stop recording, but it is what it is. It was an amazing book. I'm so excited I'm already like 300 pages through Oathbringer. It's amazing. I love it. And I'm so excited to continue on. So thanks so much for watching. Please like this video and subscribe if you haven't already. And I will see you guys next Saturday. Bye.